Turning 40 is an age that can bring a woman to tears, because if by 30 the hope of finding a husband is slowly fading away, by 40, the dream of becoming a wife and having children has already been lost. Today, we'll see. Women over 40 regret their loneliness. Then they break down in tears. But before we get started, help us reach 1,000 likes on this video. And without further ado, let's begin.
There's a grief that happens when you're a single woman in your 40s that doesn't get talked about enough. It's the grief of the life that you've imagined. And honestly, no one really prepares you for this kind of grief. It's the relationship you thought you'd have, the family you pictured, the version of you thought you'd become. And it hits at like random moments. On the holidays, of course, and you're hanging out with your friends who have kids, or you're just randomly at Target and you see a couple holding hands. But please hear me. Feeling that grief doesn't mean you messed up your life. It means you're human. And it means that you're smart. You're allowed to grieve what didn't happen and still build something beautiful from here.
I am 39 years old and I'm about to turn 40 in a little over 7 months, and I'm really freaking out about it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if this is every person's experience when they get to this milestone age, but last night I woke up with a lot of anxiety and just this overwhelming feeling that like I'm so behind in life. And there's also this like grief that comes with it as well, because I'm not married and I don't have children, which are two things that I want and have wanted for a while. And I guess it just feels like there's this grief of like, that may not happen for me in this lifetime. And that makes me feel really sad. I'm not childless by choice. I respect people that do decide that children aren't something that they want, and I understand that. But I guess I just feel there's just a lot of incoming grief. I feel like I've also just been so burnt out by men, especially in the last 2 years. And it's like everybody says it, I'm no exception, but dating life is rough out there. And I'm having a really hard time making peace with where I'm at in my life and my age, and having to get to a point where I accept that like maybe I'm not going to get the things that I thought I was going to get in this life.
Oh, hell no!
These videos are a real wake-up call for young women, especially those who always think there's plenty of time. Time to travel, time to work, and that the relationship will come later. But that's not how it works for women. You're not a man. A man reaches his prime between his late 20s and mid-40s because that's when he tends to have greater financial stability to start a family. After 30, a woman gradually loses what is often considered her greatest asset to men, her beauty. Then comes fertility. On top of that, a woman who has been single for so many years already has her own routine and lifestyle, and she's not going to adapt to a man's way of life. They don't let themselves be led. They're used to doing everything on their own. Anyway, gentlemen, the wall doesn't forgive.
So I've always been like, why do people record themselves when they're crying? Why do you set up a camera to like record yourself crying? But here I am. And I just have to come on here because I live alone and I work from home. And so I very rarely during the week, unless I like drive to see my kids, like, and a friend for breakfast every week, I'm kind of a loner. So it's like I'm alone all the time. So I've been struggling with some stuff, and I ran to my Starbucks to get my drink, and I always go in because it's better for my mental health if I at least am around people. So I go in. As I'm holding the door on my way out, this woman who looked a lot like my mom came walking through, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I love your tattoos." And as she passed me, she like touched my arm. And then she realized that she touched me, and she reached back and she goes, she like leaned back and goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to touch you." She's like, I just, that was probably not okay. And I go, "No, it was totally okay." Because I could tell she was just like, oh, like a human response to like something she liked. And it was very sweet. It wasn't in a creepy way at all. So I was like, "No, it's totally okay. You didn't overstep." And she was like, she smiled and went on. And I get to my car and I just burst into tears because I needed human touch. Like, I need a hug so bad right now, and I don't have anybody immediately near me to give me that right now. And her little touch on my arm felt like that hug I need. And so I just sat in my car and cried really, really hard because human connection is so important. And I'm not in any way, I'm just sad about some stuff. And in no way is this like gonna last. It's not gonna stay. But the point of this video is that just be kind out there, because you don't have a clue like what a kind gesture could do for someone. That lady's little touch on my arm was the hug I desperately needed. And I believe God sent someone who looked like my mother to give me that today. And as I drove out, I saw a little butterfly fly by, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is all God. Because butterflies for me are like spirit. So anyway, I just want to share, if you're struggling out there today, this video is my attempt to like give you a little cyber hug or a little touch on your arm to let you know you're not alone and it's okay. And tomorrow, hopefully, it'll be better. Maybe in the next couple of hours, I'll feel like totally normal. I won't even post this. But if I post it, it's because I feel like I need to. Not only for others, but to remind myself to just be kind.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
You chose this path. You're a single mother, and one of two things may have happened in your life. The first, you had children with Chad, a deadbeat who never took responsibility for you. You've gone from relationship to relationship without ever settling down, and you ended up alone. Or the second option, you were a married woman who left the marriage for some emotional reason. You decided to end the relationship, and now you're alone because that replacement for your husband never came. Now you regret it. You cry because you have no one, because you realize that at some point you'll be sitting alone in your house on a Sunday with nothing to do, and no one will care about you.
Is there anyone else out there in their 40s like me who feels kind of invisible? Like, I'm not as cute as I was in my 20s and 30s. I'm definitely not as fit as I was in my 20s and 30s. I don't have as much hair as I used to have. It's literally falling off like the top of my head. Oh! Ah! It's falling off the top of my head. I just spit everywhere. Not as graceful as I used to be. And like the hair that is growing back in, it's gray, which is fine. I'm good with going gray. I've had this gray streak in my hair for a really long time and I've just been rocking it. But like, I don't have any more eyebrows. I don't have any more eyelashes. I just don't feel pretty anymore. Who else is out there who feels this way? Because it can't just be me. But also I feel like there needs to be this whole revolution of women like us on social media to prove to everyone that we're still here and we're still valid and we're still relevant.
Stop it. Get some help.
So it's official, women in their 40s and late 30s are not leaving the house. And that's been confirmed by my last reel, that I said that the scary part of perimenopause was the fact that you don't want to leave the house, because you don't even really realize that it's happening. And there are a lot of things that we can do to prevent this. Obviously, I've actually read up on this, and it says that the more you stay home, the more you want to stay home. So then you're not actually leaving the house, because you kind of get scared to leave the house, and then you start having anxiety about leaving the house. And the reality is like, if you're single like I am, how am I ever going to meet a husband not leaving the house? So I think that at this point, we have to be mindful of it. But there's also another take on this. So women that are on GLP-1s, it's desensitizing us to not have addiction, right? So not have addiction to food, not have addiction to alcohol, but it's also desensitizing us to want to do things. I think this is just something to be mindful of, because we're not in this boat alone, and how we manage it, I don't know what to say, but the fact that you know why it's happening, check your hormones. That's all I gotta say.
It's because you're invisible to men. Your value in the sexual marketplace is at an all-time low. The men who might pursue you could be 50 or older, and I'm sure they'll go for the woman in her 30s or 20s instead. They think the wall is a lie, but it's real. The wall for women after 30 is very real because men aren't interested in you. At least not the men you would actually want. Because the guy who never accomplished anything, who just wants a woman to help pay the rent, will always pursue you. But a traditional man with values isn't looking for a 40-year-old woman. And you spent your entire life waiting for that man, only to realize that now he's never going to choose you. Gentlemen, the wall doesn't forgive.
Women.
So I wanted to make a video today for, my fellow 35-year-old plus ladies, because I turned 40 last week, and I pretty much spent the last few months of 2024 dreading my birthday, because I bought into the whole concept that it's like I am, I'm no longer worthy, or I have no value, or no man's ever going to want me, because technically we're told that once a woman is 40, you're expired. And I just want to let you know that it's not so bad. Yeah, like it's like I didn't want, it's actually really sad and really, yeah, I just think it's tragic that that's how I lived my last few months before my 40th, was feeling horrible about myself. Like, it's almost like the day was going to come and something horrible was going to happen to me. And I got to tell you, like from one day to the next, nothing's changed. And I think we need to start normalizing the beauty and the grace that comes from just aging as a woman. I think it's okay to not be 20 anymore, or 30. And if there's fuckwits out there that are telling us that we're no longer of service, or we have no value, then those people aren't for us. And you need to take your toxic energy elsewhere, because you're fucking wrong. And if you want a 20-year-old over someone that knows herself or whatever, that's also your choice. I don't ever want to be around someone that doesn't value me or thinks that way. So it's like, it's okay. It's okay to age. And I am of value. And I'm still amazing. And it's like, I just think for the longest time, there's just been this fear put around aging as a woman. And I would love us to just support each other a little bit more and let the younger generation of women know that it's okay. Like, it's okay to age, and it's going to happen, and you can't stop it. There's things that you can do to continue to be youthful, like taking care of yourself, watching what, you eat, and, a health or skin routine and all that stuff. But I wish we could just normalize it being normal for a woman to age. It is fucking normal. I cannot stop the fact that I'm 40 years old. I can continue to take care of myself. And to be quite honest, I don't have any Botox. I don't even really have any filler, maybe my lips done. So it's not so fucking bad. And our priorities are going to change, Like, as you age, you change and your priorities change. And that's just fucking life. So one thing that I regret is believing and buying into this notion that I am now expired as a woman because I have turned a certain age. We're not meant to be youthful forever. It's not the end of the world. We're still fucking amazing. And there's plenty of men that don't give a fuck about age. And if they want to date a toddler. Let them date a toddler. Like, who cares? So I just wanted to put it out there. I think it's okay and it's going to happen. And when it does, we should embrace it a little bit more rather than self-shaming or be shamed for something that we cannot control. Because I cannot control this. I can only embrace it. So, yes.
When a 40-year-old woman tells you that it's okay to get older and that we're amazing, she's not giving you an objective fact. She's showing you that she knows her window has closed. She said herself that she felt expired before her birthday. Now she's just making peace with reality. Don't get carried away by the pretty words. The value she had at 25 isn't the same at 40, and pretending otherwise is self-deception. Women live in a market where their value is tied to youth and fertility. It's not something made up by idiots. It's biology and evolutionary psychology. That's why you see women 35 plus making videos like this, trying to redefine the rules of the game when the game has already turned its back on them. The fear wasn't irrational, it was instinct. What's happening is that now you want to put a pretty label on it so you don't feel like you lost. Priorities change, sure, but not because you choose to. Because men force you to lower your standards or stay alone because you're up against the wall. Gentlemen, the wall doesn't forgive. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, here are the questions for you. Why don't high-value men even look twice at a 40-year-old woman? What do you think about these women who have already resigned themselves to being alone and now cry in front of the camera looking for validation? If you enjoyed the video, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Your support means a lot to us and motivates us to keep creating more content. Stay tuned for the next video from the wall.